Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Pastor Magic, and today I got a quick um, deck tech before I do some gameplay with this deck here. I'll call it Ghost Killas, and it's pretty much a Afterlife revival, bring back from the graveyard type of synergy or energy, or not energy, but engine. And just real quick, let's go to here. As you see, I have 23 creatures, 13 non-creatures, 24 lands. I was playing 25, but it just seems to kind of flood out towards mid game. You know what I'm saying? So 24, I think, is just enough. As you see, the curve here is not the best. Usually I like it a little bit more slopier. I don't know if that's a word, but it is a lot of 4 drops that you're gonna have. And I notice a lot of the issues I do have with this deck is sometimes your opening hand is going to have, 2 4 drops. So I'm still working on that with the Afterlife ability. It's not too many low costing cards, especially in the 3 drop. I believe this is the only one, so that kind of made it a little bit more difficult building this deck and having it be a little competitive. So just real quick, I got 2 copies of Killas. I hope I'm saying that right. Killas Ghost Form. You could, if you wanted to, take both of these out, add in another Mortify or 2 Revival / Revenge. But I find it kind of convenient, especially if your opponent's playing like mono red, or they burn your creature and exile it. It kind of brings that back, and it doesn't just kind of ruin your synergy that you're trying to have, because it really heavily depends on your creature's willingness to die, and you need those tokens to reappear. That's the whole point of this whole deck. So I do kind of find that convenient, but what's most important is the removal. I am a heavy removal type player, so any decks that I do build, I'm going to have plenty of removal. Some people like to play with 1, 2. It's a little weird to me, but especially in standard today, it's more creature heavy. You know what I'm saying? You may run into a couple of control type decks, but even with the control, they're going to have a creature that you're definitely going to want to remove as quick as possible. So I'm playing 4 copies of Spark Harvest, and really the main point of this is to sacrifice a creature. Now at some point you may just pay 4 because it's more convenient, but like I told you, this deck really depends on your creatures dying and the Afterlife effect. So it's kind of a 2 for 1 type deal. Also, of course, Mortify, you could definitely take advantage not only on the target creature aspect, but you can destroy enchantments. Like I told you, especially in standard today, there's a lot of people playing enchantments, and those enchantments will beat you if you don't take care of it. So to the other non-creature is Revival / Revenge. Definitely only have 1 copy, because with the return creature with 3 mana or less, and as you see, I mean, it's plenty, but these are not going to really change the game for you. It's really going to be these 3 here. So I found myself holding on to 2, 3 copies in my hand, and realizing even spending 2 mana was going to be an inconvenience. So, but the revenge side of this, the 6 drop, definitely helps. But like I told you, I found myself having too many left in my hand and not really being too valuable, I guess you could say. With the Planeswalker, we have, of course, Sorin, Vengeful Vengeful Blood Lord. um, at first, when I built this deck, I did not have him in here, but then as I continued to play this deck, I realized how valuable he would be into this deck. I did have just 2 copies, but I bumped it up an extra because I mean, first off, it's a legendary, so you don't want too many of these planeswalkers in your hand. So 3 is a good number to me for anything that's legendary. And its main, of course, focus on this card is the return aspect. I mean, it goes into the battlefield with high loyalty, so I could bring back any of my creatures. It's not going to really be an issue. That's what I really like about this. And it's only a 4-drop, so my curve is, especially with 24 lands, is going to be pretty easy to get, you know. And then anything after that is just a bonus unless you just kind of fled out, you know what I'm saying. But I found myself, you know, -2, bring someone back. Next turn, +2, hit them for 1. Next turn, -2, -3, bring a creature back. So if your opponent doesn't take care of someone, you can find yourself having no creatures left in your graveyard because you don't brought them all back, you know what I'm saying. So some of the 2-drop creatures, really basic. Tithe Taker really helps his ability. I mean, the Afterlife, kind of garbage, 1. And he's a rare, so that kind of, you know, doesn't really make sense to me. But Afterlife 1, his ability is cool. If you're just playing a, you know, mono green, just big creatures, you know, they're not going to be playing too many spells on your turn. So, I mean, if you're going against decks like that, he's just really a 2/1 Afterlife 1 2-drop, you know what I'm saying. But if you're playing, you know, like a mono red or anything that, you know, counters or, you know, just tries to shock on your turn, it does help. And I played a couple games where actually I can tell my opponent had a shock and it cost him 2 and he only had 1 land. So, you know, a couple of times it did work, but for the most part, he's just a 2/1 chump blocker to me. This dude right here, Mr. Enforcer, Death Touch. Any creature with Death Touch, no matter what their stats look like, is always a good creature. So running 4 of those, 4 of Mr. Taker, because I mean, I tried to just stick with Afterlife, so I just had to put all 4 in there. Imperious, I'm not gonna I can't even pronounce that last name or that last part, but I do like the vigilance, because you can just swing and you want them to kill your creatures. So I mean, they'll let you hit for 2, and guess what, you can still block with this creature. So the vigilance part of this card is amazing. 3-drop, this is the only creature that doesn't have, well, not the only creature, but I kind of just threw in because I needed a 3-drop creature that kind of benefited the whole point of this deck. And we got a Executioner, and the best part about this card is the ability where you can pay for, exile this card, and exile target creature. And like I told you, with Standard today is really heavy on creatures, you know what I'm saying. So I believe that you can't never have too many kill spells. So I mean, the more the merrier, you know what I'm saying. So for another 3-drop, we have Ministrant of Obligation. I have 4 copies. Once again, the Afterlife is 2. For a 3-drop, it's cool. I probably wish it was a 3/1, but I mean, the whole point is for your creatures to die. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. But these 2 here is kind of the main engine of this whole deck. We have Separate of Scales, 4-drop, and I mean, the stats, I mean, it is more of a 5/6 drop to me. You know, you can pay 1 white mana, Vigilance. You can pay 1 black mana and Death Touch, and the Afterlife is 2. So I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. And we have Tessa Karlov. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But once again, legendary creature, so you got to be real careful, with your opening hand. But any stats say if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Creature tokens you have vigilance and lifelink. So I mean, just based off that, man, you can just really have a wide, powerful, board. And I mean, you're just really sacrificing your creatures, just attack away and reap the benefits of your creatures dying. So like I said, I'm running 24 lands. Of course, your dual lands gotta have, only got 3 of these because I really hate tapped lands. But with standard rotating, took away some of the good dual lands. I mean, you just gotta suck it up. I do realize now that I am missing the fetch land, but I'll add that next time. So I'm gonna end this video, and the next videos that you're gonna see are gameplays of this deck. So once again, thank you for watching, and if you want to see this in action, watch the next video.